The Colosseum stands as one of the greatest architectural feats in human history. But here's the twist. It was built without cranes, without engines, and without modern machinery. Just imagine, over 100,000 tons of stone, stacked into a perfect elliptical arena, towering 160 feet high, all assembled with wooden pulleys, brute force, and pure human ingenuity. So how did they do it? How did ancient Romans build something so massive? With nothing more than muscle, rope, and stone? You're about to uncover a secret of ancient engineering that defies logic and changed the world forever. The construction of the Roman Colosseum is one of the most spectacular engineering feats in history. And yet its builders did it without any cranes, which begs the question, how exactly did they build the Colosseum without cranes? These machines are vital for lifting heavy loads to great heights, making them indispensable for many modern construction projects. This meant that they didn't need to use cranes to lift heavy materials to great heights. The Romans had access to a wide variety of building materials, including stone, brick, concrete, and wood. They were also able to obtain materials from a wide geographical area, thanks to their advanced road network. This meant that they didn't have to rely on just one type of material or one source of supply. Concrete is a building material made from a mixture of cement, aggregate, and water. It is strong, durable, and versatile, making it ideal for use in large construction projects. The Romans were among the first to use concrete on a large scale, and they developed new techniques for mixing and placing the material. Let us know in the comments below. And while you're there, don't forget to like and subscribe so you never miss an upload from our channel. Thanks for watching. This allowed them to build structures such as the Pantheon and the Colosseum without the need for heavy materials such as stone. In fact, the Romans used concrete to build the majority of the Colosseum's exterior as well as its interior. This helped to reduce the overall weight of the structure and made it easier to construct without cranes. In addition, the Romans had developed efficient methods for quarrying and transporting building materials. The Roman Emperor Vespasian, who commissioned the construction of the Colosseum, is said to have employed over 10,000 workers to build the structure. Despite its massive size and the complexity of its design, the Romans were able to build the Colosseum without the aid of cranes. By using a combination of advanced engineering techniques, efficient construction methods, the availability of materials, the use of ramps, and a large workforce, the Romans were able to complete this iconic structure in just 8 years. The Colosseum stands as a reminder of the power of human innovation and the incredible things that can be achieved without the aid of modern technology. These workers were a mix of slaves, convicts, and free laborers who were paid for their work. The sheer number of workers allowed the Romans to complete the Colosseum in just 8 years, a relatively short amount of time for such a massive project. In addition, the workers were highly skilled and experienced in the techniques needed to construct the Colosseum. Many of them had worked on other large construction projects in Rome, such as the aqueducts and the public baths. Their skills and expertise were essential to the success of the project, and allowed the Romans to build the Colosseum without the need for cranes. They used tools such as wedges and hammers to quarry stone, and they developed specialized ships for transporting materials along the coast and down the Tiber River. Instead, they could use ramps and other simple machines to move materials up and around the structure without the need for cranes. Each tier was constructed separately and then raised into position using a system of ramps and levers. The lower tier consisted of arches and vaults, which supported the floor of the arena. The middle tier contained the audience seating, and the upper tier was used for spectators to stand and watch the games. By constructing each tier separately, the Romans were able to build the Colosseum more efficiently and avoid the need for cranes. The Romans used a variety of ramps, including those made of earth, brick, and stone. One of the most impressive ramps used in the construction of the Colosseum was the earthen ramp, which was used to transport materials to the upper levels of the structure. This ramp was over 100 feet high, and it allowed workers to move materials to the top of the Colosseum without having to carry them up a steep incline. Another type of ramp that the Romans used was the brick and stone ramp, which was used for finishing work on the Colosseum's exterior. These ramps were more gentle than the earthen ramp, but they were still an essential part of the construction process. They allowed workers to apply the final touches to the Colosseum's exterior without having to use cranes or other complex machines. For example, the Romans used a technique called opus cementitium to build the Colosseum's foundation. This technique involved pouring concrete into wooden forms, allowing the concrete to cure and then removing the forms. This created a strong and stable foundation that could support the weight of the structure above it. They also used a technique known as the post and lintel system to construct the walls and arches of the Colosseum. This system consists of two vertical supports, the posts, and a horizontal beam, the lintel, which rests on top of the posts. By using this system, Romans were able to create large openings in the Colosseum's walls without compromising the structure's stability. However, the Colosseum, an iconic amphitheater built in Rome during the 1st century AD, was constructed without the aid of cranes, showcasing the ingenuity and innovation of Roman engineers. In fact, it was until the Middle Ages that cranes were used in Europe again after the fall of the Roman Empire. So how exactly did the Romans build such a massive structure without modern equipment like cranes? The answer lies in a combination of factors. Join us as we look at the ingenious methods these Roman engineers used to construct this iconic amphitheater. When we think of major construction projects, we often think of the use of cranes. Ramps were an essential part of the construction process because they allowed workers to move materials up first. The Romans had developed sophisticated engineering techniques, including the use of arches, bolts, and concrete, which allowed them to distribute the weight of the structure more efficiently. Another factor that made it possible to build the Colosseum without cranes was the availability of materials. Another important factor was the use of ramps. To further assist with the construction process, the Romans divided the Colosseum into 3 segments: the lower tier, the middle tier, and the upper tier. Another key factor in the construction of the Colosseum was the use of concrete. Finally, the construction of the Colosseum was a massive undertaking that required a large workforce. In conclusion, the construction of the Colosseum was an incredible feat of engineering and a testament to the ingenuity of the Roman people. Now that you know how the Romans built the Colosseum without cranes, what other ancient engineering marvels would you like us to cover?